Hello. Today, seeing as today is my kid's first day back at school, freedom. I figured that today would be a good day to talk about firsts. Okay, in particular, my first job. Yeah, my first ever job. I was still 13 years old, I think, which actually you weren't meant to do that back then. But it was a Saturday job working in a hairdresser's. Now, I'd thought up until that point that when I grew up, I wanted to be a hairdresser. And turns out I was wrong. I didn't really want to be a hairdresser at all. Because I only actually lasted, I think it was 6 months, maybe even less than that. It was fine. I mean, I learned a lot of things to the extent I now, I can dye hair by myself. I can do very simple haircuts and things, which, is quite a handy set of skills to have. Good for money saving, more than anything. But as a general thing, I discovered more about what I didn't like about it, and that in fact I didn't want to be doing that job for the rest of my life. So yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment because I'd been convinced that that was what I wanted to do, and then when it turned out that actually I didn't at all want to do that, I then found myself a bit kind of lost, because then you're at the age where at school they're asking you constantly, oh, what would you like to be when you grow up? Oh, you've got to pick the subjects that you're going to be specialising in and things like that. And I was all, oh God, yeah, well, I don't want to do that anymore. I've been so clear with my idea, now I don't want to do it anymore. What do I want to do? And so I started making a mental list of other jobs that, I'd be interested in. Pretty much all of them were along creative lines. I thought, oh, I want to be a model. All little girls want to be a model. And I also wanted to be an actress. And, stuff like that. Singer, no, because I already knew that I didn't have a voice for singing. I sound terrible. Seriously, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a singer at all. But I wanted to be a model. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be an author. It was all very creative kind of things. And then later on, I sort of added things to do with marketing, because I really liked, the whole marketing world and things like that. So I added that as well, maybe something in marketing, but still more sort of geared towards the creative side of things than, the business side, if you like. I know marketing is business, but, the whole designing ad campaigns and things like that, that's more the sort of thing that I intended. But anyway, so time goes on and I started doing different jobs. I worked in a supermarket, for example, where I did pretty much every part of the supermarket you can imagine. I was on the counters cutting hams. I was on the bread aisle, putting the bread out on the shelves. I did the tills. I was a cashier. Pretty much everything there, which was really good experience. As a general thing, for being in the working world. Apart from the fact that you have such a large company, so you have lots of colleagues and things, so the social aspects and things as well. But also, having worked on all the different areas, I got a good idea how the whole system works as a whole. Because when you do only just one little bit, you kind of forget everything else that goes behind a business. So there I got a good idea of, the fact that it's not just the one thing, it's all those little things together that actually make the business. And also learned a lot about keeping your staff happy and things like that, because the company I worked for was actually Waitrose, and they were incredibly good with staff motivation and things like that. Also from the point of giving salary rises and things like that, but also the social aspect. They organised a lot of work nights out and things like that to bring everyone together as a team and things. So I thought they were a very good company to work for anyway. And then from there, I ended up, I did some more retail jobs, things like that. And I ended up in credit control, which happened a bit by accident. I hadn't been planning it, also because I've never been a particular fan of maths. I do. It's one of those topics that I sort of see as like, okay, I need to know it so that I can get by and do the stuff I need to get by. But it doesn't light my fire. What can I say? I'm not a numbers girl. But I ended up in credit control. But that as well turned out to be a learning experience. So it's all sort of come down that, I've done other jobs as well, because I moved around a lot over the years. And so, for example, I left the credit control and I came to Rome in Italy. And then I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Because, obviously the language barrier and things as well. I was still learning Italian at the time, so I wasn't fluent yet. And so I started working at hostels doing reception and became a tour guide, all those kind of jobs like that. And then I just sort of sat back one day and I was like, okay, I'm staying here in Rome. What am I going to do? And so I look back at the list, my original list of things that I had wanted to do over the years, and the list of things that I'd done. I was sort of going, I was like, okay, well, I did that, and I did that, and I did that. I did some modelling when I was younger. I did some theatre work where I was acting on stage and things as well. So I even managed to tick those off the list. Enough that I had the experience. I enjoyed it, both. But also made me realise that maybe, it was more something to do as a hobby as opposed to a job. Because, even if you do the thing that you wanted to do and you do enjoy doing it, it's not necessarily the thing that you want to be doing as a career. Okay, so I'd done those. I'd always been writing and always been doing creative things as well as a hobby. And I'd never really thought that I could actually, make a career out of it, because I categorized it in the same category as the modelling and the acting. I sort of think, oh yeah, well, it'll be the same thing, something just for me kind of stuff. And then I ended up getting a job working for a company that did publications for the dental industry here in Rome, and it was an international publication and things. And there I started learning a lot about the whole publication process, proofing, editing, revising, setting up your print copies and things like that as well. Also the collecting of data and all that kind of stuff. I use computer because I enjoy using a computer. So again, that was something I did sort of as a hobby. I'd never really done a computer class. I just taught myself by doing it. And I learned, because I'm very hands-on, so I learned doing the job, if you like these things. And from there, I kind of sort of realised, this is the way I want to be going. It's a very gradual understanding of what I wanted. I had all these different ideas and I was sort of doing them all in turn, but getting closer and closer to what I wanted to do. And then after that, I ended up going to the hospital here in Rome, and where I got a job working in the neurology department. I'm not trained medically or anything. I was there as a writer. Okay, so I did some secretary work and helped writing up the research papers and things that were then published in various different medical journals and things like that. So I worked with the doctors and the professors to polish their manuscripts and stuff like that for sending off. And through that as well, I got an even clearer idea. I want to be writing, and I had this little light bulb moment. It was when I was working there. I sent off an article to a English language newspaper in Florence, who were asking for submissions for the publication. I was like, I'll write something, give it a try. Another thing I can tick off my list. they've done. And they sent back the email the very same day, like literally a couple of minutes after I'd sent it. I was like, perfect, it's going in the next publication as it is. I was like, wow. You know, it was a real turning point for me, that, because it made me realise that I could actually write about stuff that interested me, and, you know, it'd be good enough for everybody else. And that was the big turning point, because I'd always been writing, but just doing it for myself, and like, no one had ever seen anything that I'd written. And so this scoperta, I'm going to speak in Italian, this whole revelation that, you know, I could actually write for the public as well was a big turning point. And then I got pregnant and I had kids, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because I wanted to be a full-time mummy. And so I was looking at options for things that I could do where I could work from home and raise my kids at the same time. And I was like, well, you know, I could be a writer. And so I started going down that road, and turns out that is exactly the road that I was meant to go down. So now I've published several books, pretty much all of which have been on the bestsellers list, most of them on the international bestsellers list, which means that they were in the top 100 for their category, both in the US, in the UK, in Canada, and yeah, that's a nice achievement anyway. So it shows that I'm good at what I wanted to do. I'm managing to do it, and all of those experiences before that are helping me now build the career that I do actually want to do. You know, all those experimenting as well as a hobby that's all coming together as well. It all kind of meshes in, like the hairdressing thing that started everything. Still, that was a creative thing. I should have read the lines, you know, I wanted to do something creative. It also taught me a lot about working with other people as well, because all these jobs in retail and things as well, it's all lots of customer service and things like that as well, which is also important. I mean, that's important regardless of what job you do. I think everyone should work in retail, at least for a short period of time, because it does give you a whole different aspect, and it also gives you more respect for people when you go and do your shopping, because you know what they go through. So anyway, I learnt from that as well. I learnt from the various different office jobs and things that I had as well. I learnt a lot about computer programs. I learnt that I'm a very hands-on learner. And so for me to learn a computer program, I just have to really play around with it for a day or two, and then I'm good. So, you know, all these little things come together, and then the work obviously that I did working with publications, both in the publishing this books that they did for the dental industry. I learned that I now am scared to go to the dentist because I know what all the instruments do. But also I learned a lot about the actual whole printing process and things like that as well. And then through the work that I did at the hospital, so for sending off submissions to publications and things like that, I mean, I'm not going to be submitting to medical journals, so it does change a little bit, but submission guidelines for being published in any kind of publication are pretty much the same. You know, if there are guidelines, you need to follow them, and you need to follow them exactly as they are. You know, you have to be on point with them. It's very important, and it does make the difference between being accepted and non-accepted. Okay, because they will be looking for people who can actually follow guidelines. So I learned all those different things, but even when I was working in credit control and things, the whole cash flow stuff, is all that, it's all coming useful, and it's now meshing together and helping me build the career that I really wanted to do. So basically the message of all of this is that your working starting point is not necessarily your final destination, and you don't even need to sort of look at it in those terms. You just have to look at each step as that step closer to doing what you're actually going to do. Okay, and you know, take the gold from everything. You know, all those little things that you learn over the time, because they will make you into that career that you really want to do. And it's a self-discovery thing as well. So anyway, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to, try out new things. And that if you want to do something, if you feel that, I'd like to do that, give it a try. At worst, you're just going to tick it off your list and be like, I did it. Turns out it wasn't for me. No regrets. You tried it. It wasn't where you were meant to be going. But maybe it will be that stepping stone that helps you get to where you're meant to be going. Okay, so anyway, that's me in a nutshell. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then please give it a like. And click subscribe so you don't miss out on new uploads. Also, drop by and visit me at jolinsdell.com. And also, share with me, what was your first job? Have you been using those stepping stones through your career as well to pick up new things and to help you be where you're at now? What would you like to do in the future? Whatever it is, please let me know in the comments. And I will see you next time. Bye!